It's time for Get the Lac Scoop, a podcast bringing you all the people and stuff you should know in the game of lacrosse. We take Lac seriously, but ourselves, not so much. Join hosts Big Dog and Jaybird and the biggest names in the game. Brought to you by J. McMahon Lacrosse. That's JML, skills, mindset, and Lac's IQ training.
Ron Douglas, the Big Dog, was a collegiate football and lacrosse player at Brown. He was also an assistant lacrosse coach and the executive director of the Sports Foundation.
And Jay McMahon, the Jaybird, a three-time All-American midfielder at Brown. He was a captain of the U.S. Junior National Team and is the founder of JML. And joining us in the studio, Steve Grisolfi, whose collegiate lacrosse career statistics equals 1 goal against Dartmouth. Brought to you by J. McMahon Lacrosse. That's JML, skills, mindset, and Lac's IQ training, helping the next generation of lacrosse players get to the next level.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are super excited to have you here for part 3 of our interview series with legendary coaches Lars Tiffany and Kevin Cassese of the University of Virginia. You will find our interview in progress as Coach Tiffany is describing how their budding bromance blossomed.
I remember that first year, Stony Brook's lacrosse stadium, Laval Stadium there, they've got these, it only seats about 9,000. So we're not talking about a Power 5 football conference venue, but we were running up and down every aisle, up all the way to the top, and then just going around the whole stadium and just pushing each other, trying to see who's going to quit first, and nobody was going to quit. And
Nice.
It was just like this kindred spirit of someone who was a better looking and a better athlete than me. But other than that, it was just this. There was a lot of similarities. And
You're not going to get any argument here, Lars.
Yeah, a lot of people would have left you at the stadium stairs. A lot of people would have said, "No, I'm good."
And so we just like, hey, Kevin, I got a problem. Kevin's, he's helped me out with players like Kevin, and what's been great about him is, I had some really good lacrosse players at Stony Brook and Brown. Some great lacrosse players, especially at the end. When I was at Brown, Dylan Malloy, Larkin Kemp, Alec Tulla, Jack Kelly, and a bunch of others I can't say right now, but then I get to hear, and it's like now all of a sudden you have a great player who's always been a great player. They were highly touted. They were recruited by everybody, and fortunately for me, they chose Virginia, whether Dom recruited him or I recruited him. And then sometimes trying to get through these relationships, and I've leaned on Kevin for a couple of the guys, like Kevin, he's like, well, explain what's going on. And he's so strong with his personal relationship skills, and he's dealt with elite athletes, both as a player and as a coach through Team USA and Duke, that he was able to give me such great insight and advice to help me be a better mentor and coach to my elite player who's struggling with me or something else. And so I've just always leaned on Kevin, and, spending time with his family. And so when the opportunity came up, and Sean Kerwin's looked at a few jobs,
Right.
and he turned down the Colgate job about 5 years ago. He looked at the Harvard job. Jerry Byrne obviously got that job. And there has been a few times, and, just a little twinkle in my eye and just sort of a little fantasizing.
You had mentioned this to me probably about 5 years ago, and I was like,
Yeah.
really? He's a head coach. Would he come back? And you're like, believe me, he'd come back. I was like, yeah.
Just a little bit of fantasizing. and then, boy, this past summer 2023, when Sean jumped on the opportunity to be a head coach at Dartmouth, and, my first couple feel outs to Kevin, I get off the phone and talk to Tara, my wife. I'm like, I think we got a shot. I think we got a realistic shot here. He's the way he's talking about this is, and so let a dream come true.
He's interested.
So Kevin, let's get your perspective on this. I mean, there are only so many Division I head coaching jobs, and you had one of them at a very young age, and I think had been widely respected for the success you had brought to Lehigh. Not exactly a well-known lacrosse mecca in the college world, and you had made that program incredibly successful. And so, given your resume as a player and a coach, not hard to believe that you would have other head coaching opportunities. And as you said, off camera when we started, this is an interesting part, a next chapter in your journey. So walk us through this decision making. you have Lars, you've got this relationship, and it's one thing, right, to maybe joke about it while you're out on the recruiting trail. Quite another thing to move your family and to make this step. So what went into your thought process?
Well, the number one thing is, relationships, and relationships are everything to me. And so the relationship that Lars and I developed in that 1 year at Stony Brook, and then how that continued, as he described, for the next 19 to 20 years, there's, a very short list of people that I would go to and turn to and lean on. And Lars was there. He was there for me at every turn, and all the challenges that I went through, whether it was that year after I left him and went back to Duke and went through that. I would talk to him at times. I would talk to him almost daily to get his advice, and then becoming a young head coach and asking advice there, and it just continued as we went through it. So relationships are really important to me, and when I find relationships that are really meaningful to me, I don't want to let go of them, and I want to keep continuing to lean into them. And that's what I've done with Lars for my entire career. And I get the chance to do that now every single day when I go into the office. And he's someone that I trust, someone that I can confide in. And, it's not just about lacrosse with him. It's about everything that's going on in my life. And these are things that are really, really important to me and life-changing. So the relationship aspect of it has been huge. The decision to take the opportunity to come to Virginia, I'm very proud of what I was able to accomplish at Lehigh, and what we were all able to accomplish at Lehigh. And I wouldn't change any of that. I got the job, as we talked about, when I was young, and 16 years there. I'll be honest, I thought I'd be there for 5 years and try and turn that place around and then move on to the next one. But to the credit of the administrators at Lehigh and the alumni there, they were able to step up and be able to show some success, with very little support, and then they were able to provide a little bit more and to help us to become even more competitive. And I guess at some point for me, after 16 years, I said, I kind of got the itch again to dive back into the highest level of our sport. And that's no disrespect to Lehigh. It's just the facts. Is the opportunity to go and coach on Memorial Day weekend and championship weekend. That's something that it was an itch I needed to scratch. And then when you combine that with the fact that I get to go and do it with one of my closest friends in the world, to me, it was, you never know when that opportunity might present itself again, and would it be the right time? And this just seemed like if I was going to make a jump, it had to be now. And so very, very excited to be here now, obviously, and to be with Lars and to coach these men. They're incredible. And we're 3 weeks away from an opening game here, and to me it feels like 19 years ago, and I was getting ready for the first game coaching, and I'm thrilled and excited and anxious and all those things. So it's been everything that I've hoped it would be, and I can't wait to get going for real.
That's awesome.
And no offensive talent there that you've got to work with. It must be. I mean, but I was going to ask you that. Everybody knows. People who don't know what it is to be a head coach have no idea of the non-sport stuff that eats up your day, right? When really what you love to do is work with young people and coach the game. So on the one hand, has it been really fun to let Lars do all that stuff
Lars.
and go work with these? No, but I mean, seriously, like it must be coming back to what you love to do in some ways. I mean, getting to be on the field and coach that group of offensive players.
Yeah. I'll be honest. At times it feels weird because for 16 years I feel like I've been juggling a million things, and at times I'm in the office and I'm like, I feel like I should be doing something here. Nope, I should be watching film and meeting with the guys and developing schemes and all that. And that's been really fun to be able to jump back into that. And I say this, with you mentioned the offensive talent that we have here, and yeah, no doubt. There's extremely talented individuals. A passion of mine has always been to work with high-level elite players and to be able to coach them and help them to get that much better. That's been a passion of mine forever. And I've always looked at it this way, and in my time spent whether it's in the professional league or Team USA as a player or as a coach, being around the best of the best, guys like the Powell brothers, or Paul Rabel was a teammate of mine in 2010, and the list goes on and on. But the one common thread amongst all of those incredible players was the fact that they wanted to be coached, that they were starving for coaching. And I feel like a lot of people, when they get around players like that, when they have the opportunity to coach players like that, there's a little bit of a stigma that I got to back away, and I just got to let them be and do their own thing, and they'll figure it out. When the fact is that those guys actually really want to be coached. And I found that to absolutely ring true. In my first meeting with Connor Schellenberger, I sat down with him, and the first question he asked me, and we hadn't spoken at all. And first question he asked me is, Coach, how do I get better?
Wow.
Like
Awesome.
we're talking about one of the guys, he's maybe one of the best to ever do it. Yet he's starving for coaching. And to me, that's exciting. And that's something I'm really passionate about. And that's one of a lot of guys on the UVA roster that feel that way. So it's been really fun and refreshing to be able to dive in.
So
That's
Jay,
really
I'm
cool.
kind of on a roll here, and I'm
Ron,
just going to keep going. Nope, Jay, Lars, Sean Kerwin was not exactly like, chopped liver as an offensive coach, and you had a ton of coaching stability over a long period of time with your staff. So as great as Kevin is, it's still new on your staff in one of those core positions for the first time in a long time. So what do you see Kevin doing that's already you can tell like, oh my God, this is going to make us so much better? Like, and how are the dynamics on the staff? Because it's also he has been a head coach, right? And so we can all pretend that that's an easy transition because you know each other, but there's still some different dynamics going on there. So what's it been like?
Boy, Ron gets on a roll. Just watch out.
Yeah,
I love it.
But
I
go
love
ahead.
it.
Good question.
There are some different dynamics. Like, for example, if we're doing 6v6 one end, I'm the head coach. I want to blow the whistle to start the 6v6. Kevin's always blowing the dang whistle. I'm like, hey.
Hey.
16 years of doing it. Maybe I should just let him have it. You
Yeah.
66.
Back away.
Therein lies the secret of being a great head coach. Hey, I want to blow the whistle.
Can I do something around here besides write up job descriptions and discipline issues and all that?
That's so funny because I didn't even think twice about it.
That's great.
I know. It's been fun going through it. There's definitely a couple moments, like, oh wow, okay, yeah, this is, my family tree is pretty straight. There's some coaches who have some incredible family trees. You think like college football, Nick Saban, how many guys were there only a couple of years and they branched off, and so many branched off. And, it's kind of lucky to have that straight tree with, Kip Turner and Sean Kerwin with me for 9 and now years total. And then with the combined, and then Kip, he's on his 14th year with me. So we've been fortunate to have that a little bit more of that Tom Osborne, Nebraska football, keep the staff together and
Nice.
What you're thinking. But I'm a guy who's always liked change, and I think this has been tremendous for me as a coach, as a head coach, but really for our men, it's not easy to replace Sean Kerwin. I mean, He's an exceptional chess player. That guy, X's and O's. I don't think you want to get into a sort of a grease board, the grease marker pen. He's gonna find it. He's gonna see it. What's interesting, it's with the distinctions between the two, I think Kevin has created a 6v6 offense that gives them more options. That the Dodger, there's not like, hey, do this, takes 2 steps to your left. Hey, no, you know what? In the second quarter, I want you to start the high crease cut a little 2 yards higher because of the way the defense. That was more Sean. Whereas Kevin is like, okay, let's make some reads here, but I'm going to give you more things on the menus, more options to choose from. Which, when you have incredible lacrosse players like we do at UVA, you recruit them for a reason, let them play. And so Kevin has created a 6v6 that we've struggled to defend, in practice, because it's less predictable.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and I was telling my wife this the other day, flip it around, Kevin having 16 years of Lehigh experience where his coaching, he willed his team to wins. He's always been great at the faceoff acts, recruitment and development. And he is just absolutely, through X's and O's and sheer determination, toughness, grit, and willpower, they've won games. And that might mean controlling the game flow, holding possession a little bit. Hey, this is lots of calls for everything. That's where Kevin comes in with a little bit more of the control. And then Sean Kerwin, even though he was exacting in a 6v6, when the ball was loose, it's full fall and scramble. We're going to play brown lacrosse, wild and up and down, let the players make plays, and let's see if we can score 25 goals today. And so there's this sort of intermixing of some, in some points, incredible chess player, but let him play versus others, give the guys more confidence, but let's massage this clock a little bit. Let's maintain this possession. And that might be who we have to be this year, to be honest with you, with Petey LaSala after 5 years gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Gable Braun is a very capable man to step in and take that role, but he's got to prove himself. And we may not be winning faceoffs at 65% and scoring 2 goals a game because of our faceoff guy inverting his man and going to the goal.
Right. Exactly.
So we may have to be a little more under control. So that's where Kevin fits in really well.
That is cool. It's true. We might need to be a little more methodical. Hello, everyone. We're so glad to be back, and we're so glad you're joining us for Season 2 of the Get the Lac Scoop podcast. Due to popular demand, we have put together a Patreon page for the show. This will allow those interested in supporting our efforts to do just that and to get exclusive access to unedited interviews, big discounts on JML online courses, and merchandise from our new online store. Big additions to the JML course catalog. Now we have a defenseman's course taught by none other than UVA head coach Lars Tiffany, and a goalie course taught by former 2-time All-American and UVA assistant coach Kip Turner. You can check out our Patreon page with the link that is listed in the description, as well as taking a look at the online store, again with the link listed in the description. We're super excited to get back to our interview, and you will find that interview in progress. Now let's do a quick question on the D, Lars, for 2024 season. And you guys lost a few key pieces on defense, but you return a number of really good players, naturally with 2-time All-American Cole Kastner. Matt Noon, your goalie, between the pipes was great as the year progressed last year, especially in the semifinal. He had like 22 saves, I think. And now you've got a lot of new faces. And one of them is grad transfer from Harvard, Chase Yeager, as a short stick D-midi. He looks really good. I've been to practice a number of times. And then you've got redshirt freshman Joey Terenzi playing some short stick D-midi, playing a little offense. So tell us and our listeners what your impressions and expectations are here for this UVA offense in 2024. I meant defense. Whoops.
I'll talk about
God bless.
I got that editing software. I can't wait just to edit that right out.
All the way right to the end, and then you just crap the bed.
Easy, Ron.
I'll talk generally at first. Is it a good thing or bad thing to have some parity? We've in a lot of years here on who's going to start on close defense, who's the best short stick committee. It was crystal clear. Mm-hmm. This year we've got parity. Now, again, maybe that's a bad thing. When you got 2 or 3 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback, right? The old saying says, I'm trying to still figure out who is the starting defense right now. Cole Kastner is obviously there, and Ben Ware, who is playing like a madman. He
really good. Awesome.
Attitude, and he's picking up every ground ball. But there's a lot of parity from there, which, again, it's a little concerning, but it's also exciting. We're seeing the short stick defensive midfield position, too. Jay, we literally had 6 guys who had short stick defensive midfield listed as their position graduate last year. 3 of them playing a lot of minutes. And yet, through the fall, kind of as a coaching staff kept looking around like, I don't think it's going to be a weakness for us. How did this happen? The acquisition of Chase Yeager, who has a 5th year after he graduated from Harvard, certainly helps. Joey Terenzi, who redshirted last year, certainly helps. Mac Till, he went from really struggling as a first year to understanding our schemes to being the smartest guy in the defensive meeting room.
Yeah, he looks really good.
Licks, and then Noah Chismar, who's just.
I think he was most improved last year. Noah Chismar, he was awesome. He looks really good too.
And then he's fantastic. And Will Erdman is again. And then all of a sudden, Will's Burt, a very, very athletic, rugged, tough first-year midfielder for us. He just came, back and said, I'm a defensive midfielder now. He made that decision. And, so he's got a little to learn. He's got a lot to learn with the X's and O's. But in terms of one-on-one, he's tough to beat.
He does look really good too.
And so all of a sudden, we're certainly going to miss Grayson Saladay. Jeff Connor played a role there. Evans in, and we're going to miss some of those guys. But in terms of athleticism and intensity, so it's a defense. There's definitely question marks. Got to prove it. But, facing Coach Cassese's offense in practice during 6v6, we're getting some really tough looks that we have to administer and to get through. So I'm optimistic, probably because we do have Matt Nunes behind us. That guy erases a lot of mistakes.
Right. Nice.
Lars, it's so interesting too to so few people talk about the short stick D middies, and you could argue they're the most important guys on that end of the field, the way the game's played
Yeah.
these days.
It's like the
So
cornerbacks in the NFL,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
They really are. Do you have to slide every time they're dodged?
yeah,
If they inverted, are you getting into a zone and losing your matchups? Cole Kastner is no longer guarding the opponent's top attackman because you had to get into an invert zone because you don't trust the matchups back there. Boy, it is wonderful when you got D middies who can defend one-on-one, who can punt return the ball out of there, who can pick up tough ground balls coming in, and who have the brains to understand the slides schemes.
yeah. So, Kevin, let's turn to you for a little preseason inside look at the UVA offense. And like the D, you lose Xander Dixon. That's just a couple of goals that guy scored last year, and Jeff Connor and Thomas McConvey. But you do have a couple of guys that came back and Connor Schellenberger and Peyton Cormier, and now you got the D3 Player of the Year and your Tufts grad transfer Jack Boyden, and
He looks really good.
you just go through the list: Griffin Stutz and Truett Sutherland, and there's this kid named Millen who comes from a pretty good lineage in the game of lacrosse. So what are your impressions of their offense? And it's interesting to hear Lars talk about maybe a little bit of the difference in how you approach offense than Sean Kerwin. How are the guys responding? What are you looking forward to in the offense, and what maybe are some of the challenges?
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, it's a really talented group overall. The challenge in the fall was that, and there's a little bit of two sides. It was a blessing and a curse. So Connor Schellenberger and Peyton Cormier missed a lot of time in the fall. Neither one of them played in the fall ball tournament against Colgate and Towson. So while that was disappointing not to be able to work with those guys, Peyton in particular, he missed the entire fall. Connor got a little bit. You got a handful of work in, but didn't get the two of them together, which is magical, as you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So while that was disappointing not to be able to do that, it also gave opportunity for others to step in and get minutes and develop. And so I do think that's going to be a blessing in the long run. It allowed us to get really good looks at some of our other players that maybe would have been playing in different roles. And so I was happy that we were able to do that. Now, obviously, getting those guys back, it'll be huge for us to be able to start to build that chemistry again, which we're already working on, and then obviously to develop that depth, which will be incredible for us throughout the year. So the talent level is great. The thing that I've seen that has been interesting is the UVA style of offense and how much is done in transition and early offense and the pace of play and attacking early. And there's this dichotomy of having that aspect of the game of coming and trying to be as climatic as possible early on in a set. And then all of a sudden now you get to a 6v6 set and you almost have to shift gears a little bit and be a little bit more patient, methodical throughout the course of the set. It's tough for 18 to 21-year-olds to figure that out and say, all right, we're going to take the first shot that's available once we get to that point. So I've been working hard on with the guys on that and trying to figure out shot selection and what is a good shot when we get to the 6v6, and is it a good shot or is it a great shot, and all of those things and decision making. So I feel like a big part of my job has been coaching the decisions that are made and helping them understand the decision-making process through a course of an offensive set, whether that be an early offense, transition, or in the settled 6v6. That's been really fun. Really fun to be able to have those discussions with them and have that dialogue and then help them to understand what that should look like. Obviously, the most important thing is seeing the ball go in and getting into the back of the net. If that happens in the first 3 seconds of the set or it happens in the last 3 seconds of the shot clock, as long as it goes in that possession, that's what we care about. And we're trying to figure out the best way to do that. So that's been something that's been interesting. And then the other part of it's been the cool part is Sean and I have very similar styles of coaching offense. So there's a lot of pieces and schematics that are similar, which has been, I think, really refreshing for the guys just to be able to take a deep breath and say, okay, not everything is getting overhauled here. And I knew coming in that wasn't going to have to be the case. Sean's an incredible coach, someone I respect a lot. He and I are someone over the years that have exchanged ideas as well. So that was pretty nice to be able to come into that situation, I think, in particular for the players. So it's for me, it's been trying not to change too much for them, but also coaching offense like I have for 19 years. I have some things that I think would be helpful and beneficial too. So I don't want to throw too much at them that's going to be changed because then they'll get paralyzed. I want to have some consistency to what they're doing, but also be able to be diverse in what we do. And I think that'll be helpful as we move into the meat of our season.
Beautiful. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming on, helping us kick off our podcast season. And we're so excited for you guys to be getting into it and kicking off the 2024 men's lacrosse season.
Yeah, and Jay, our third co-host, who usually comes on with some different questions, Steve Grisalfi, couldn't be with us today. He's unfortunately in Hawaii. Tough life for Steve. But right. Jay, I did bring a couple of things that I thought we could do here at the very end. And Coach Cassese, since all three of us, you and Jay and I, know Lars very well, he's just an incredible person. We love him so much. And God bless, is he weird. I mean, let's be honest, Coach. So I know, you've been away from him and the day-to-day for so long that I just want to, if you could share with our listeners, you're a couple days into the office and you're like, oh God, I forgot about this. What's that? Any of those things, Coach, that you'd like to share?
Let's see. I will say this is big picture, right? Like, is he a weirdo? But yeah, but he's my weirdo. He's our weirdo.
Well, that's what we say. Exactly. Kevin, no question
I like his kind of weird.
He is our weirdo. No question.
I'll start off. It's like we come in from these cold days for practice, and the coach is like, hey, you want me to get the shower going for you? And I'm like, well, just get one going. All right. Can we be conservative? All right. I got one plan here. Reduce, reuse, recycle. You're not have hot water running for 5 minutes before you step into the thing and all 5 showers.
That's Lars right there.
The big thing that I saw, we had a couple of recruiting visits in September when the recruiting cycle opened, and Lars had some of the players and their parents over to the house. And, as a vegetarian, which we very much respect, trying to predict and factor in how much meat do we need here. So we ran out of meat pretty quickly in the first one. So for the next one, I made sure that we sent
Coach
out
Cassese,
for reinforcements.
Yeah. You got to take over the meat consumption quantities
on
any group gathering. Okay.
We got a lot of those recruits that first weekend. I got to let you know, though. All right.
It did.
They went away hungry, but they came back.
Here's another one, Kevin, that Coach Kerwin shared with us. We had him on the podcast as a new head coach, and we asked him, and he said, Lars, early on would say, hey, I'll buy your lunch if you get a vegetarian, option. And after a while, he was just like, the hell with this. I don't even want
Coach Kerwin also said, he didn't actually pay for it.
Yeah,
like,
he was just trying to trick me.
Doing that again.
He paid for it once, and then it's like, So Lars, I'm going to give you a chance too here, because I mean, it's a 10:30 podcast on a Sunday. I barely have my cup of coffee and splash water on my face. Captain America over here looks like he's ready to run the marathon. His hair, he's like, so I mean, are there any chinks in this guy's armor, for God's sakes, Lars? Anything?
There really aren't. It's the subtle things we've hinted at. Who gets to blow the whistle of 6v6. He still has a time. He still works on a time scale that like he's the head coach, because when you're the head coach, you're never late.
Right.
No. The meeting doesn't start till you get there.
That's right. That's right.
And Kevin still thinks a 10 a.m. meeting starts when he rolls in at 10:10 or 10:15.
Ooh, I like it.
So I've become more patient, though. I'm a little short when somebody pops their head into my office at 10:20. Hey, do you want to have that meeting now? Yeah.
Oh. Look at it.
It's a blessing. It really is. I mean, he's so damn good at this thing called life, taking care of his family, his wife, and always being there for them, and being there for our men, Bottom line, we get excited and animated. It's all about winning. The pressure is greater at Virginia and the ACC. And we get that, but he keeps it in perspective. We will not step on anyone's hearts or emotions in the quest that we all have for national championship. He's going to take care of people first. And yeah, really, really lucky to have him here in Charlottesville.
All right, Jay, I'm going to turn it to you to close it off. I just want to comment for a second that all this nice relationship. I love Kevin. He's great. Kevin, there's no doubt the only damn reason he brought you there is, can you please help me beat Duke? Can you please? I mean, let's be honest, okay? You're his Duke voodoo doll. And,
exactly.
He figures if he brings a Duke guy on, he can finally get over that Duke hump.
Got the recipe.
Absolutely. Well, that's the plan. We're going to try and beat them and everybody else on the schedule. So we don't discriminate. We're going to try and beat them all.
Awesome. Well, guys, you've been super generous with your time. We're just so psyched to have had you on to kick things off. I need to say it again, Ron, so you don't jump into another whole pile of questions. But thanks a million.
We're wrapping up here. What a hell of a first episode, Jay.
Yes. Best of luck in 2024. We can't wait to see what you guys put out there on the field.
Huge thank you, guys. A lot of fun.
Thank you.
A really fun way to start a Sunday. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Jay. This is awesome.
All right, guys. Take care. All right. Until we meet again, here's to hoping you find the twine. We're signing off here at the Get the Lax Coop. Thanks again so much. We will see you the next time.